June 8, 1989. A city worker in Richmond, Canada makes a shocking discovery behind an abandoned house, the body of a woman, tied up, hidden beneath blackberry bushes. Spray-painted messages nearby read things like, "Some girl died here" and "Devil." The scene is disturbing, but the story behind it is even more unsettling. This is the case of Cindy James, a woman who spent years saying she was being stalked, before turning up dead under mysterious and still unexplained circumstances. Welcome back to Midnight Crimes, where we cover the most mysterious, chilling and unsolved cases from around the world. Today we're diving into one of Canada's most haunting stories. A woman stalked for 7 years, found in a scene straight out of a thriller, and a case that's still debated to this day. Was Cindy James the victim of a relentless attacker? Or was the truth something much darker? Cindy James was born Cynthia Elizabeth Hack on June 12, 1944, in Oliver, British Columbia. Her father was a former Air Force colonel, known for his strict and sometimes harsh parenting. She was one of 6 children and spent part of her teenage years in Ottawa before pursuing a nursing career in Vancouver. In 1965, Cindy met Roy Makepeace, a South African psychiatrist nearly 20 years older than her. The two married the following year, but the relationship would later be described as distant and difficult. Cindy eventually accused him of abuse, while he claimed it was minimal. Professionally, though, Cindy was thriving. She worked for years as a pediatric nurse and later coordinated care for children with behavioral challenges. By all accounts, she was respected, competent, and deeply committed to her job. While Cindy's professional life was stable, her personal world was starting to spiral. Just months after separating from her husband, she began reporting a string of disturbing incidents, starting with phone calls and escalating into something much darker. Between 1982 and 1989, Cindy contacted the RCMP nearly 100 times. She claimed she was being stalked, harassed, and attacked by someone who refused to leave her alone. It began with strange noises, threats over the phone, and her porch lights being smashed. Soon after, rocks were thrown through her windows, and disturbing notes started showing up around her home. One officer, Patrick McBride, took a special interest in the case. He even moved in temporarily to help monitor her safety. Oddly enough, he later began dating Cindy. Around this same time, her ex-husband was caught lurking near the house, claiming he was trying to catch the intruder himself. Cindy gave conflicting statements, sometimes defending him, other times saying he had been violent during their marriage. Things only escalated from there. Cindy was found unconscious in her backyard with a stocking around her neck. She claimed 2 men attacked her in the garage and made threats against her family. Another time, she was found inside her home with a knife stabbed through her hand, along with a note reading, "Now you must die." Police found no drugs in her system, but did confirm a needle mark. Terrified, Cindy moved homes multiple times. She painted her car a new color and even hired a private investigator, Ozzy Caban. Over time, she received threatening letters, more obscene calls, and even discovered dead cats left in her yard. Her dog Heidi was once found abused and hiding in the basement. Caban, who had always believed her, said, "She'd never have done that if she was the Cindy I knew." Some threats were bizarre and theatrical. Collages made of magazine cutouts, ransom-style notes, a phone line cut in 5 different places, yet no suspect was ever found. In the years that followed, things only got more confusing. Cindy began accusing her ex-husband of horrific crimes, including murder. Police investigated but found no evidence. She later attempted was hospitalized and eventually diagnosed with depression and signs of dissociation. Still, she insisted someone was after her. She even claimed to know who it was, but wouldn't name them. Despite changing her last name, moving houses, installing alarms, and surrounding herself with friends, the threats continued. Cindy was found unconscious multiple times, bound, bruised or dazed, each time with the familiar black nylon stocking tied around her neck. But police were growing skeptical. Years of investigations had turned up no solid leads, and yet the incidents never stopped. As late as 1989, new messages were still showing up. Soon, Cindy was found taped near her job. Phone calls, attempted break-ins, strange voices on answering machines. And still, the RCMP had no answers. Some believed Cindy was staging the entire thing. Others believed she was being ignored by the very people meant to protect her. Either way, something was clearly wrong. May 25th, 1989. Cindy James picks up her paycheck from Richmond General Hospital. A co-worker remembers her being in a good mood, even saying things had been quiet at home for the past couple weeks. That same evening, she runs a few errands. She's seen at the bank, depositing her check. Then she stops by the grocery store. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. She had plans that night. Friends were supposed to come over for a game of bridge. She had even scheduled a new security system installation for her home that same day. But when her friends Agnes and Tom arrived around 10 p.m., Cindy was nowhere to be found. Her house was locked. Her car was gone. The couple drove to one of her usual spots, the Blundell shopping centre. And that's where they found it, Cindy's car, abandoned in the parking lot. Inside the vehicle, police found groceries, a wrapped birthday gift, and blood on the driver's side door. Underneath the car were the contents of her wallet, scattered on the ground. But there were no signs of Cindy. Her home showed no signs of struggle. Everything was neat, clean, untouched. The Coast Guard searched nearby waters. Police canvassed the area, but Cindy James had vanished. A few days later, her tenant told investigators he got a strange phone call. A man claiming to be Cindy's father, asking about her life insurance policy. But when police questioned her actual father, he denied ever making the call. On June 8th, 1989, nearly 2 weeks after she vanished, Cindy James was found. A city worker discovered her body behind an abandoned house in Richmond, not far from where her car had been left. She was found in a secluded corner of the yard, surrounded by overgrown bushes. Her hands and feet were tied behind her back, and a black nylon stocking was wrapped around her neck. The scene was unsettling. Nearby, strange messages had been spray-painted on the house and surrounding area. One read, "Some girl died here." Another, simply, "Devil." The location sat along a busy intersection, yet somehow, no one had seen what happened to her. The pathologist noted signs that Cindy had been tightly restrained. A small needle mark was found on her arm. Insect activity on the scene showed that she had been there for several days. Toxicology results revealed extremely high levels of prescription medication in her system, including sedatives and morphine. Experts believe the amount would have rendered her unconscious within minutes. But how the drugs were administered couldn't be explained. Some traces were found in her stomach, but they weren't consistent enough to point to a clear method. Despite the suspicious scene, investigators quickly began leaning toward the idea that this may have been something Cindy had planned herself. The theory was that she'd staged the entire thing, and things had gone too far. But others, including her private investigator, weren't convinced. He believed the scene was staged by someone else, especially after noticing signs that her body may have been moved post-mortem. A memorial service was held just 2 days after what would have been Cindy's 45th birthday. The police, still uncertain about what happened, quietly surveilled the attendees. Her ex-husband did not attend. That same summer, the abandoned house was torn down. In the spring of 1990, an inquest into Cindy's death began. Over 80 witnesses testified during a 40-day investigation, the longest and most expensive of its kind in British Columbia at the time. Among the testimony was Cindy's ex-husband, who made serious claims about her childhood and accused the police of targeting him. The inquest also revealed that after her death, Cindy's family found large amounts of medication hidden in her home, which they later disposed of. Mental health experts took the stand, offering different diagnoses. Some said Cindy may have suffered from trauma-related disorders. Others believed she was deeply fearful and possibly hiding the identity of someone who had been tormenting her. Not experts demonstrated that it was technically possible for Cindy to have tied herself the way she was found, but doing so in the short time before the medication took effect would have required planning, precision, and extreme coordination. After weeks of testimony, the jury reached a final conclusion, or rather, a lack of one. Cindy James had died from what they called an unknown event. Whether it was something she orchestrated or something done to her still remains a mystery.
So what really happened to Cindy?
After everything, the warnings, the attacks, the chilling scene where she was found, no one could give a clear answer. But over the years, three main theories have taken shape. Theory 1 is that she was murdered by a stalker. This is the theory her family and private investigator believed from the very beginning. Cindy had reported nearly 100 incidents to police, threatening calls, violent attacks, disturbing notes, even animals harmed. Some believe her stalker eventually carried out what he'd been planning all along. Many point to her ex-husband Roy Makepeace, who Cindy had accused multiple times. He was caught lurking outside her house, and Cindy once said she feared him. But police never found concrete evidence tying him, or anyone else, to her death.
Theory 2 is that she staged the attacks herself.
This is what the RCMP leaned toward. Over 7 years, they found no physical proof of a stalker. No footprints, no fingerprints, no suspects. Some experts believe she may have been acting out past trauma, possibly without fully realizing it. A psychologist who reviewed the case suggested she could have suffered from a dissociative disorder, leading her to stage events that even she believed were real. In their eyes, the final scene may have been one last act, one that went too far. And finally, the third theory suggests an accidental overdose combined with self-binding. Cindy had incredibly high levels of drugs in her system, enough to knock her out within minutes. Some believe she may have taken them herself, then attempted to bind herself in a way that would make the scene look like murder. But the timeline is tight. A not expert testified it was possible for her to do it in time, but not easy. There were also signs her body might have been moved. Even the method of how she got that much morphine is still unclear to this day.
Whatever truly happened to Cindy James, whether she was silenced by someone else or overwhelmed by something inside herself, one thing is clear: she lived in fear for years, and her story still leaves more questions than answers. Rest in peace, Cindy James. You deserve to be heard, believed, and protected. Thanks for watching Midnight Crimes. I'll see you in the next case.